really happy to host in our Purpose Venture Capital Spark session, Trina. Trina is the Chief Marketing Officer for Hydra X, and she's been gracious enough to come and be with us for half an hour in a live session. I know that it's sometimes a bit intimidating having live sessions, but everything will go fine. And if anyone listening, you can ask questions, and we'll also during the session we'll try to answer. So Trina, thank you so much again. I just want to start out with about you're a lawyer by training, then you moved into the marketing space, and then you moved to Hydra X. It's a very successful career. You've done an extremely great job in Hydra X over the last 4 years. From a startup with the team, you've developed the startup into a MAS certified licensed company. Tell us about all of the challenges you've had along the way, and what made you move from being a lawyer into business development and marketing.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. So first of all, thank you so much for having me here today on a Friday morning. And thanks to everyone who's watching out there also. So my name is Trina. I think Satat has mentioned it was a lawyer by training, but I've made a switch. So I'm one of the many lawyers who left the profession and left practice many years ago. I make a switch into BD and marketing. So actually, before Hydra X, one of my last role was heading the BD and marketing team in one of the bigger law firms in Singapore. So what made the switch? I have always enjoyed practice, but there were just opportunities that came along the way that 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 um, that so I was interested, but at the same time I think there was certain skill sets and also interest as well. So when there was a opportunity to move into the BD and marketing space, I thought that was quite interesting, and that was also still in an area, because it was in a law firm. It was an area that I was familiar with, a subject matter that I was familiar with, that was quite in line with my training, and so that was what happened. And then 4 years ago in 2018, and that's when Hydra X came along. It was in a growing industry. Fintech was like the buzzword then. I was curious about it, not familiar with it. I think, but then when there was a chance to join the founding team, I thought it was, I thought this was a challenge that I would like to take on. At the same time, and I still like to think so, that I felt that I could bring in certain experience and skill sets which I gained from my previous roles, that could go into help to building a startup. I also wanted to do it then. I wanted to tackle this challenge then when I still, have the energy to do it. And yeah, so that's how I ended up in Hydra X.
So it's basically in 4 years you've built a big franchise. You were telling me that from a few people as the founding team, now you're almost 60, I think, people. That's quite an achievement. And what was the actually ingredient, the sort of distinguishing factor in this achievement? What did you do well in Hydra X, according to you?
I think, yeah. So that was. I mean, we talked about it. I found that was a very interesting question because it kind of made me relook at the journey of Hydra X from 4 years ago. Actually, April would be our 4th year. We were celebrating our 4th year anniversary, and I was thinking along the way, what has worked for us and what didn't work for us. So it was kind of a journey down a memory lane. It was quite nostalgic and quite meaningful. So I think you mentioned we started in the founding team. We started in a 4-man room in WeWork 4 years ago. Yeah, And you're right. Right now, we have grown to a size of almost 60 people globally. I think in June we will, yeah, we're going to grow to around a 60-man team soon. What worked for us was, I think we had a good idea. We had something that we felt the market needed, and but more than a good idea, as you know, there are many good ideas out there, but it really depends on whether or not you can develop, deliver, and grow on the idea. Um, we are just very fortunate. I think we had a strong founding team. We had a good group of advisors, and as we continue to grow the team, we actually spend a lot of time making sure that we invite the right people. We have the right people along with us as well. I think that really make a difference. I think we are also fortunate that I think the first few clients um, who came along the journey for us with us trusted us, because I mean without them, I I don't think we could develop on and grow and grow what we were building.
The initial clients make a huge difference. I do agree with you. I think the trust that they give and the types of commitment that they give, they sort of encourage you to actually to be good. They also, in a sense, not only support you, but also finance you to do the work. And I think this is great. But I was looking at your site and just looking at it, you have a very catchy phrase, which is building the future of capital markets. And behind that, there's a whole world there. I mean, you work in so many parts, the industries that you support, commodities, traditional finance, alternative assets, crypto. So you're right in the sort of crossroads of all of these big change, big revolution happening in the finance market. What is that mission? What is your purpose, and how do you define that within the Hydra X context? Building the future of capital markets. What does it mean for you?
Okay, so so actually Hydra X, I mean, what we do is that we provide blockchain-enabled technology and services to clients who wish to enter the digital capital markets. So I think besides tokenizations, which means moving the ownership of assets from off-chain to on-chain, we also provide solutions for clients who are looking into secondary trading or custody service for digital assets. So what we really see is that what we were foreseeing is that capital markets will evolve. It will evolve to becoming more digitized, and we also foresee that the use of blockchain will not just be solely for for crypto. Other asset classes will look to it also for adoption. So we really want to be there to provide the technology and the services to help these clients enter the digital capital markets.
Yeah, that's a very noble, I think, cause, in a sense that you're the pioneers within the sector and in Singapore, but not only in Singapore, I would say overall in the region and globally, because this is a very recent innovation, to blockchain and tokenization and moving towards digital assets. And you've had, as you said, help along the way from your clients, but you also had a very productive sandbox experience with MAS, with Monetary Authority of Singapore, which ended up you joining, getting a CMS license. How was that experience? What made a difference in going through that and achieving the CMS license over time?
Yeah, so actually the sandbox experience, I think has been very useful for a startup like ours. I think the sandbox experience helped to set up parameters as to what we are able to do, like almost like a safe zone for us to implement our technology. and it also gives assurance to clients to enter the sandbox together with us as we are trying out our solutions. I felt the experience was useful to us, assuring to clients, and help us build useful use cases. So I mean that definitely benefited us, and help us make our transition to become when we to obtain our full CMS license.
And this CMS license gives you the possibility also to service clients on the digital asset custody and all sorts of other activities. So it's actually, in a sense, a rather new tweak on the license. In a sense, not all of the capital markets services companies have this type of capability and sort of the license to operate in this sector. When you look at Spectrum in Singapore, are there others who are doing the same job that you're doing? How do you see that over time being developed? And also looking at Southeast Asia, do you see a lot of competition coming in?
I think what we are doing is novel, but I think when you have a good idea or when you're doing something well, I think there would definitely be competition, and that's what we foresee. I mean, what we are hoping is that we have, well, some sort of first mover advantage in this space. I mean, that is why we are continually looking at other services that we can provide our clients as well, and we keep looking at the development in the space to see how we can also keep up, because sometimes it's the clients who comes with the novel ideas, with a novel product, with a novel problem, and I think what we are always trying to do is to be able to solve problems for our clients. So this is, I'm a lawyer by training, and that's what we do. We solve problems. We take a complex situation or complex problem, and then we break it down and provide solutions from all angles to help our clients. And I see that we are actually pretty much doing the same thing here. Sometimes we are faced with a novel product or a novel situation. We have to see either the technology or the regulations that are currently present, and we see how we can deliver solutions to our client.
And when you talk about clients, I mean, you're based in Singapore. You also talked about the global team. I know that you do stuff in South. Give us a little bit of sense of which are the markets you operate in, and how different they are from each other, according to your experience with clients and let's say the propensity to be open to new innovation.
Yeah, so we are so we speak to a lot of people in Singapore because we are based here. As you're right, we have also quite a distributed team in various countries in Southeast Asia. Half the team sits in Singapore. We have also been speaking to a lot of interested parties in the region. They are looking at seeing how we can work together. I think there's a lot of interest in the other countries in Southeast Asia. I think sometimes what is limiting is the fact that each of these countries have very different business or regulatory regime, and so what it sometimes necessitates is that we must make sure that we are working with the correct parties or speaking to the right people in these other countries, because it's in environments that we're not very familiar with. So that's something of a challenge. But at the same time, as some of these countries have growing interest or growing demand, I think that's where opportunities are. So which is why I mean that's something that we're very interested in, to see what we can do in this area.
Would you be, if you're operating in another country, do you need to get a capital markets license at
Yeah,
one point to operate?
yeah, so that's something that we actually have been looking at now. That's why I mentioned every country, I think they have a different regime from regulatory framework from us. It can be difficult to navigate,
Sure.
which is why I can't overemphasize the need for good partners in this area.
Is there any idea whether Hydra X should be also looking into other geographies outside of Southeast Asia, looking to Asia as a whole, or other geographies? Is that also in the making?
Probably not in the short term because there's only so much we can do. And I think Southeast Asia as a region is poses a challenge in itself already. But as you know, as a startup, we are always open to to new possibilities. And we have actually spoken to people as well in other parts of Asia and the world, just to get a sense of what are the things that can be done in this space. Yeah.
Because there's a lot happening around blockchain and decentralized finance and this whole revolution that's happening. It's very hard to keep up with, both in terms of the knowledge base, understanding regulatory framework, understanding all of new technology coming in. How do you keep up with it?
It is a challenge. You're right. As in, besides from, your day to day of running of the business as well, but because of how quickly the space grow, I think that's something that we can't avoid. I find it useful which is why I think what I learned the most from is by speaking to people in the space. So talking to clients, potential partners, or just anyone in the space, even like yourself. And I think that has really helped for us to keep abreast of the developments and the demands and growth trends in the space. I think that is always useful because at the back of my mind, with every conversation, I'm always thinking, what can we do better? What can we do for you? And what can we do more?
And especially those who are coming from the sort of legal profession and who's moved into maybe the finance, more traditional part of finance. How difficult is it to step from that into the blockchain space? And for example, I do see some young people getting very interested from the legal profession, also from traditional finance, to move into the space. What would you suggest? Where should they start?
They can start with Hydra X.
Okay, that's a good call.
Okay. Yes, because because as you're right, the space is so new that actually a lot of my colleagues, we all come from various backgrounds, non-blockchain related, and we come in and we all learn together. We bring our experience, our training from wherever we were, and work together to grow in this space. I think if you are someone new to the space, I think what is important is that there must be a desire to self-learn, to problem solve in new ways. Must be open-minded as well. I think no doubt wherever we came from in the past, you have you bring with you experience or skill set, but at the same time, when you are in a very new space, I think you must also be willing to park that aside and see what are the other ways of doing things. Yeah.
Excellent. Let me actually move on to the service part of it and the types of activities that you do. And I'm personally very interested because I think one of the most difficult parts of the blockchain and the crypto world and essentially how this new world meets traditional finance is the custody services. Custodial services were actually lacking and because it's a very new sector. But when you look at institutional clients, they need a lot of custodial services because if you don't, keep track of what you have and safely keep it somewhere, then probably you're going to be vulnerable and that business is not going to grow. How do you see the custodial services evolve over time, and what are the demands that especially traditional finance companies making in terms of making how this whole sector can evolve over time?
Okay, yeah. So, you're right. I think without custody, the industry can't grow. Because if people have no confidence in how their assets are safeguarded, no one is going to enter the space. Um, so so actually, which is why I think that I mean that's the reason why we decided to build upon our regulated custodian business. Um, I think there are two parts. There's the regulated part, because you're right, financial institutions, for them to adopt any solution, um, they, they have to adopt regulated solutions. But at the same time, um, the existing technology that they have may not, probably will not support digital assets. So I think I think that's where we see ourselves adding value to, because our technology is blockchain enabled, it compatible, it allows, it opens up a new class of assets, but at the same time we must also make sure that the solutions are institutional grade, regulatory compliant, to allow adoption by traditional financial institutions.
And when you look at the traditional financial institutions, are they? Do you think they're going to step into this field? I mean, right now, for example, when you look at Hydra X, it's an independent company. It's establishing its own services, activities, but the traditional finance still has a big chunk of the business, and they also have a lot of capital power to get into this. Do you foresee that over time they're going to build their services in-house, or try to get into these spaces that are novel spaces but might become integrated with traditional finance? Is there any type of movement in that direction?
I think there's definitely possibilities, and we often have conversations with them as well. Um, but at the same time, I don't think it's an easy undertaking as well. I think there's definitely possibility that, as the space grow more and more, um, traditional financial institutions might see, um, a value in providing services, for example, to existing clients. Um, but at the moment, I think what we see more is them collaborating with players like us.
Yes, yes. Also, one of the when we look at the sort of the crypto world, blockchain world as a new investment opportunity, many people get caught up with what they see in terms of bitcoins and also other tokens that get traded on major crypto exchanges and all that. But what we see is, and this is one of the theses of Purpose Venture Capital, that in the blockchain space, the most interesting area is the infrastructure services. I mean, there's a whole ecosystem that's being established and built, and no matter whatever the token is around, and whether it's going to be the winner is going to be Bitcoin or Ethereum or others or other digital tokens, you need a robust infrastructure. You need companies like yourself coming into the space and operating and making it making things happen. Is that something that you share as a going concern? Is infrastructure, you think, is one of the biggest challenges right now in terms of integrating traditional finance and this new novel blockchain technology?
Yes, I think definitely. I think, as you know, deploying any technological solutions is never easy. Um, the As in what we see is the usually big traditional financial institutions, they have a lot of legacy tech that doesn't lend itself so well to the new technology. Um, yeah, namely blockchain, right? So I think, which is why I think we saw that there's a space for us to come in to be able to provide, you know, a brand new infrastructure, to be able to help incumbents actually, who wants to transition to a digital capital market, with our solution. It's I think it's easy to say, hey, you know, when blockchain comes along, let's try to build something in-house. But I think that's as I can see how it's been played out, that's usually not the case. So I think we can see as with evolution of any asset class or any development, there is always there's always room for players like us to actually play a part in the whole ecosystem.
Excellent. Well, maybe the last few questions regarding, you know, you work with young teams. A lot of young people come and apply for jobs. Hopefully, you know, Hydra X, they want to be part of it. Well, what's one suggestion that you would give to them, and or how do you think some of the young people, when they're coming and trying to be part of this new revolution, you know, they may not be equipped with the skills and the types of competencies, but they're eager to learn. Well, what's the biggest suggestion? What's the biggest advice that you give to them?
Okay, so maybe what first thing I can say, I think age is not a problem, whether or not you're young or old. I have a great team. A lot of them, are 30 and below. But I think safe to say, I think I learn a lot more from them than they probably learn from me. So the age is definitely not an issue. I think the enthusiasm and I think the willingness to learn, that is the most important. The learning curve in this space is very steep. So that is a challenge that I think any young person, I think, joining the space must be aware of.
So it's actually that keeping up with this flow of information, this incredible, almost like an avalanche, you know, that this new novel developments are happening, and keeping up with that and trying to learn and integrating it with the day-to-day job. I think that remains a challenge for young and people who are also experienced, who get to learn it. This has been a great conversation. I'm really thrilled. I hope Hydra X will grow even further and become a benchmark and a point of reference for the industry. Thank you very much, Trina, and we hope to catch up again, maybe in a couple of months, and see the new developments on your side. So thank you. Thanks.
Balance for you too, and thank you so much for support of Purpose Venture Capital. You guys are doing great things, so I'm really glad that we are part of the ecosystem.
Excellent. Thank you. Have a good day.